Well, it's a last minute, unexpected change of pace today when it comes to our Football Manager video because we're not playing one of our FM24 stories. We're going to shuffle them along a day for the rest of the week because we want to talk about a very exciting update that we saw at about 1 p.m. today. And that came from the head of SI, Miles Jacobson, about the development of FM25. Now, we were waiting pretty impatiently for this. We were only discussing it in our Discord group last week. It said next development update in Q2. Was it just the Premier League license or was it going to be more? Well, we've got our answer this time. So if you haven't seen it, I will link it in the description so you can read the official statement, but we're going to go and look through it in a little bit of detail. Not something I would normally do, but there's been a lot of angst and a lot of worry about what the new user interface, the new graphics engine, and all the other big additions coming to the game next year, like women's football. And now we know like the Premier League licensing as well, how they're going to impact the game, what sort of laptop or PC you're going to need to play it if that's the edition of it you play, and how similar it's going to be to the Xbox and the PS5 console one. We've got a few answers, so let's head straight over to the development blog from Miles Jacobson today, and we'll run through it together in a bit of detail. So here we are, Football Manager news, and it's an important development update for Football Manager 2025. Now, I'm going to stop at a few points where it's answered some questions that have popped up quite a lot in the Discord or the comment section or during live streams over the year. And we'll obviously talk a bit about how it will affect our saves and the way we run Football Manager careers. Of course, we don't know a huge amount of information about it yet, but one of the things you see me use the most in videos is going to be cut from FM25. So that's also interesting too. I'm aware there's probably going to be some more high razzmatazz drama and excitement videos about from bigger content creators, but we're going to do what we do in our videos and our stories as well. We're going to have a look at the in-depth stuff. And if that's not your thing and you'll find it a bit boring, I'll be honest, this probably isn't a video for you, but let's go through it. We're not going to worry about all the transparency stuff, but we are going to get on to the updates for this one because as Miles Jacobson has said, and as we've been talking about, this was going to be a massive update. Probably the biggest one he can think of since the FM 3D match engine came in 2009, which is what, 16 editions ago up to this one. So after milestones being reached this year, we're talking about FM25 for PC, for console, and then touch and mobiles coming later. We're not going to worry about that for now. Let's talk about the next era, which is the first section of this update where we get warned we're going to see a new bit of the user interface, which will come later on, but has excited me, I'm going to be honest with you. And there's also a few things that have been dropped, which unfortunately is what we're going to have to start with. And one thing that I'm a little bit upset about, but I understand the reasoning for, because the bit that doesn't work about it is the same thing I get annoyed about a lot. So we get our confirmation, as you can see in this section here, that we've got multiple licenses for FM25 for different women's leagues, and that will be added in the next edition of the game. And the most exciting part for me, because it was something I wanted to have a go at on Twitch, you know I like women's football, I go and watch it quite a bit, was would you be able to switch between women's and men's football in the same save? Now, it looks like the first bit of news there is, yes, you will be able to. Yes, you'll be able to move seamlessly between managing men's and women's teams. So hopefully, one game, one ecosystem, and one career where we can do the lot if we want to. So that's great. Let's talk about this next section though, reviewing our approach, because this is where a couple of the things have been taken out of the game. And while the little things are a little bit sad for me because they're things I use a lot, I completely understand some of the bigger decisions as well. So let's have a look at some of the things that have gone. The first one, and one you will see me talk about all the time in episodes. How many times do I say, we're going to give the lads a kick up the backside. We're going to encourage them. The touch 9 shouts will be no more. So we'll probably lose about 3 minutes from our videos each episode next year. But no, it won't be back for the foreseeable future. And kind of the reasoning is the same thing I get annoyed about with it, which is it doesn't happen instantly. At 1-1, you go to encourage the lads to push them on. They score in that highlight and then they all get upset because you've gone 2-1 up and now you're just encouraging them or you're praising them and then they concede a goal before it actually takes place. So completely understand that. The social media screen is being adjusted, so rather than it having a dedicated screen, it's being worked into the user interface, which I think we'll see later on because, not to give too many spoilers if you haven't seen it, but the inbox is changing to a sort of laptop style screen, and that will obviously incorporate social media and that as well. And the data chalkboard, which I've never used since the data hub came in, is also going as well. Now, one of the things that's probably the biggest disappointment for some people, and I think it's been alluded to in this statement, not really for me, but for a lot of people, is that with the aim of getting FM25 right, with all of the new features and the new graphics, the new interface, and all of that, a few of the other game modes that we used to see and have been dropped for the short term, and they'll be coming back a bit later on. Now, I actually kind of understand the reasoning behind this, and it will upset a few people, but it does make perfect sense because looking ahead to next year is more about getting the main game right, and then you can add these things in as a little bonus or as a key feature in future years, can't you? So probably good marketing on that point. But Creator Club will be out for a year. It will come back in FM26 with changes and improvements. Versus mode may or may not be back in the same or a different form. Challenge mode will probably be back later down the line as well. And Fantasy Draft is coming back in FM25, but not immediately. And they're doing a big tournament with FIFA to try and test that a bit later in the year. So a few things that won't be there from the start. It will basically just be the original game, which for players like me is absolutely fine. But at least Craig won't be able to beat me in a network save this year. But of course, there is a big feature announcement here. And the big thing we were all looking forward to is the new user interface. The big change from day one of FM25. How vital is it going to be? It's going to be the way the game runs. It's going to be how easy it is to use. And because this year I've actually got into quite a lot of my old saves again on different old FMs, I've actually seen some of the good and the bad of previous interfaces. And I think they've maybe captured some of the best bits here because I really like the look of what they've gone for. But basically the big news is that we're moving from these traditional screens to a new modern tile and card system. And that's reflected in the fact that it's being progressed to the next level from a lot of the old sort of pen and paper or email or fax systems towards looking like the modern laptop social screens and all of that stuff. So if we go down and have a look at the tiles and cards, we have got our first glimpse of what we're going to see. So one of the things you can initially see is a lot of the information is presented a lot more cleanly. So for example, I'm guessing most of the things in tiles you'll be able to click on and get the card. That's sort of what it's suggesting. So you can see things such as teams are boxed, the games are boxed. So I'm presuming if you click on that 1-3 result, you'll then go through and see the game. If you click on the Arsenal section, you'll go through and see their club in more detail. But it allows them to cram in a lot more screenshot information and a lot more of an overview at one go on one screen without it looking completely clustered, because actually the screen still looks quite spacious there, and that's really nice to see. So I'm very happy with how that looks. I've got to be honest, I got very excited when I saw this screen. The next one, very similar as well. You can see this is relating to a player who's playing in an advanced forward role. You can see the goals on one screen, penalty missed, injury, yellow cards, all of that stuff. Nice to see. Injury 8 days ago, then played 6 days ago. Bit worried about the scheduling there because that's only 2 days apart. That's maybe something for a work in progress, but nice to see that a player's got an injury and not going to be out for a long time. It does certainly suggest, though, we're going to get a much cleaner look with a more basic overview information, but all in one screen, and then you can go and click through to all the bits you want. Intrigued to know which player this is as well. But this is the big one, and the one that probably got me the most excited, and maybe getting me anticipating FM25 the most, which is Goodbye Inbox, Hello Portal. And that is that you will not have an email inbox, and you can see actually just from this work in progress screen that the messages on the right hand side replaces sort of the inbox area. Then you've got your sort of news item at the bottom. I mean, this news and fixtures thing, I've got to be honest, that probably looks a bit more FIFA career style. But that's not necessarily a bad thing if you've got the FIFA style graphics, but with the depth and the quality of FM. You can see again along the top, you've got sort of your main tabs, and then I'm guessing within there you'll have a lot more information. But it's a much cleaner, a more basic and visually appealing look, not clustered with information, no lines and lines of text everywhere. It's just very much the key information you need. And if you want more detail on it, then go and click on it. We don't need to present it to you all at once. And I think that for someone, maybe not for us as players who are a bit older, who have played it for a number of years, but people who are quite new to the game, we've always said for years now, it must be such a complex game to come into now. There's so much detail compared to when we were playing it 20 years ago. To be able to come in and see this screen is a lot less daunting, I guess, for new players, which moving forward is something that I'm assuming is going to be very important as they grow their base. However, the other thing that's really important here is the last couple of years we've seen a return of the console edition. And for players who want to play both and to eventually work towards something that can be played across all platforms, this would look, I would imagine, very similar to something you could get on console. And I can already imagine it now. Those 6 big tabs at the front, you could just probably trigger between or LBRB between, etc. So it looks like the sort of game that's being made with both console and PC in mind and being similarly presentable on both, rather than almost looking like 2 different versions of the game, which, again, for uniformity for marketing is absolutely crucial. So really like the layout of it. Like the fact that it all looks quite simple. And I don't know, this wasn't really mentioned when being discussed in this blog here. But one of the things I like here is you can see little dots below where you've got the Premier League fixture here. Little contract news, little transfer news and that. It seems to be that there's a lot of little reminders about. And I really like the way that's presented, that you've got little red icons to say there's a contract, there's a transfer. Little things that we'd probably miss, or before, you would have to click down from your calendar tab at the top and have a look along the line, see, oh, there's this many contracts expiring, there's these people on international duty. And you can see there's also some of the training schedule stuff in there as well. So to have all of that presented in one little calendar, again, really nice, really like it. I just think it looks a lot more modern, a lot more crisp and a lot cleaner, and actually a lot less daunting for new players of the game. And I still think it's going to hold all the information we want. So it's fair to say I'm very excited. And then this screen just topped the lot for me, because this was one screen that they wanted to show off of the new tile and card system. This is a new screen that you'll see between your match highlights. More information on how it all works will follow during the gameplay rollout. But look at this little screen here. You've still got a little pitch view up the top with the old 2D, which from me playing FM09 a lot this year has got me excited. But you get to see both teams' match ratings, formations and everything in one go. You've got your match stats. You've got our stuff at the bottom with substitutions and stoppages. You've also got your little matches from the other games there as well. It's like basically half tactical chalkboard and half Soccer Saturday in one go, isn't it? It's brilliant to see. That screen, I'd argue after the portal, has probably got me the most excited. You can see the dugout information. But again, this is all of the information that we had from the Touch9 tablet that you would have from the highlight screen and from other things you would also have to click to go and get, but all on one screen, which I really like. Again, looks nice and clean. There's no big clumps of text anywhere. And even the little things like the results, it's got all of the results there. And then you can click through to see the scorers, which isn't as important to see up front. So really like the look of it. The Premier League licensing looks lovely, of course. So this is absolutely brilliant by my book. Got to be honest, I was quite apprehensive about this game. I feared that the first one would be full of glitches and bugs and that maybe from the second edition we'd see a great game. A bit like what happened with FM09 and the first 3D match engine. However, we know we're going to get more information in early September, but you can get a sneak preview of the game yourself if you want and help in testing. They've got a little direction there of how you can do so. Join in with FMFC and live near London apparently is the criteria. But that is the blog. I'll leave you with the last couple of screenshots that have me very excited. What do you think? Have you read it? What do you think of the screens? For me, I think it looks like a massive step forward in the modern direction and in making this game more playable for lots of people across console and PC. And I know there's going to be a few things. So for me, it's the Touch9 shouts. There's going to be a few little things that may be just great for people or maybe are upsetting for them to lose. And look, we don't like change. Traditionally, we're a nation of people who don't if you're in the UK. But I'm really excited by this. I think it looks good. I think it looks like a massive modernisation. And I just can't wait to play it now. I'm a bit sad that it's 4 or 5 months away. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this little look at it, and please do put a thumbs up on the video. We'll be back to the usual stories tomorrow. Hopefully you'll come and join me to stay up to date with all of it. Subscribe and turn that notification bell on. Live on Twitch with loads of FM and Euros watch-alongs, links up in the eye above, as well as to our 2 long-term stories and also the football podcast with a new season in the EFL Championship on the way soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Miles, for the update. It's a very exciting time for Football Manager fans. Fingers crossed, in a few months, we are going to be very pleased with the outcome of all these design files. Let's see how it looks in the next update. But for now, I'll see you tomorrow as the stories return.